Do you remember the golden era of Pokemon spin-offs where we were getting a new game after new game of fun concepts, different playstyles, and lots of experimenting of things we had never seen before? Pokemon was experimenting in this era more than I was in college, okay? One of my personal favorites that I have never forgotten about and has been a massive part of my childhood has always been the Pokémon Ranger series. Not only were the games amazing, but we got a whole movie showcasing Pokemon Rangers. And yes, it was one of the good ones. Or at least I think so. Do people like this movie? I don't know. Is that controversial? Pokemon Ranger followed the journey of us, the main characters, as we begin our work as rangers, protecting and working with Pokemon, helping others, and occasionally saving entire regions from evil organizations. Yeah, it's no big deal. It's your basic average everyday Pokemon protagonist things. I talked about this a bit in my Pokemon contest video, but I personally love whenever they show different possible career paths for people that live in the Pokemon world. It's a huge world. There's a lot of places. There's a lot of different types of people, and of course not everybody's gonna want to be a trainer. Not everybody wants to sweat their booties off running from gym battle to gym battle trying to win enough badges to become champion. What I always loved about Pokemon Rangers was that they were always loving and caring for Pokemon and people and helping everyone, but also taking care of the environment too, because it is cool to care about nature, okay? We got 3 entries into the Pokemon Ranger series on the DS era, and that was the original Pokemon Ranger, Shadows of Almia, and Guardian Signs, with some of these in some regions making their way to the Wii U Virtual Console as well, which, given how many people probably owned a Wii U console, that probably wasn't a lot of people that got to play it on there. I did. I had one. I still have one. The good old gamepad is sitting on a shelf gathering dust as we speak. We haven't heard or seen anything from Pokemon Ranger in the films, in the anime, in the game for years, which in my opinion is way too freaking long for such an amazing series. Definitely let me know down in the comment section below which Pokemon Ranger game was your favorite if you played all of them. Mine is 1000% Shadows of Almia. I freaking love that game, and to this day, it's probably in my top 5 Pokemon games I've ever played. The dialogue is just so freaking funny. It's probably some of the best written dialogue we've ever got. But with the Switch 2's release, we see the use of the Joy-Cons as mice? Whatever they're called. Now that we have that, we now have the closest thing to a Nintendo DS stylus that we are probably ever going to receive. And because of that, it has caused a lot more clamoring from fans for a new Pokemon Ranger game, and a lot of people are believing that on the Switch 2, it could be entirely possible. Would it actually be possible, or is this just all crazy talk and fantasy? Let's talk about it. But before we go ahead and dive into how exactly this game series would work on the Switch 2 functionally, let's talk about if there's even a desire or a want for this game to return at all. I know I love it, and I know that this video is happening today because I live for it. But I mean, this game is years old at this point. Why bring back this Pokemon spin-off series specifically over any other older Pokemon spin-off? Especially some that might play better like Pokepark Wii, or sell better like Mystery Dungeon, and they also already did a Mystery Dungeon remake on the Switch. Y'all, hear me out. The fandom for this game is larger than you might think. I know we seem small, but we are mighty. And with my height, this is something I've said quite a lot. For the people who love this game, we are plenty passionate about it. Plus, like I mentioned in a potential contest coordinator-centered game, I think a lot of Pokemon fans would enjoy a game where you get to do something that's different than your regular Pokemon League Challenge experience. Which we love to do. Pokemon, I'm not coming for you. We love to do it. But I think giving us a chance to have a whole new journey doing something else in this expansive world of Pokemon would definitely stir interest. Especially to those who might not even know what a Pokemon Ranger is. Because it is not the NPC Pokemon trainers that we see in the regular mainline games. We know the fans of the Pokemon Ranger series would buy a new game, of course, but I think if marketed correctly, all types of Pokemon fans would be intrigued by the concept of a different career path. Can you even call it that? I guess it is like a job, but like a fun job. Do you get health insurance if you become a Pokemon Ranger? Like, let me know, because I would be very interested. I sure hope so. What are the benefits? Like, what's the pay looking like? Like, I have rent to pay. Like, what are the hours? Okay, I'll stop. This is not a job interview. So I definitely think that there would be interest, but that leads us into what I think the next question is. Do we remake the older games, or do we just make a new one. This one really could go either way. I mean, if we introduce the old trilogy to a new audience, it could build more hype and excitement for a potential new game afterwards. On the other hand, if we start off with a new entry into the series with all brand new content as a sort of reboot to the Pokémon Ranger series, it drums up all sorts of hype for OG fans, but also stirs up curiosity to the new audience who has never played. This is a fake scenario either way. Like, let's be very clear. Pokemon, they're not looking at Pokemon Ranger. This is not happening. I'm making this video today because I want to see it. Like, neither of these situations are happening as much as I have prayed about it every single night. Y'all know how obsessed I am with Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness. That is how badly I would love to see Pokemon Ranger return. Like, they're pretty even to me. But what I think would be the wiser choice for them to do between the two would be to remake the original trilogy and bring that to the Switch 2. With any new game, there is always going to be risk and chance in releasing a new game into a series or just a new game period. And so I think the best thing to do to rebuild the series and build it back up would be to re-release the older games, potentially with a remake or a remastered version. So OG fans would not only get excited to just get the games back period, but also getting them in potentially a new graphically updated format would be amazing. And I just think that Pokemon fans in general would be curious about this if they've never played the original. It's a lot easier to build on something when you have a foundation. In fact, I think it's physically impossible to build on something that doesn't have a foundation. I think that's just physics. Not that I took a physics class or anything, I have no idea how that works. I was more of like a global history girly myself. I never really dabbled in physics. So now that we've decided what game we'd be putting on the Switch 2, let's talk about how it would work functionally. Realistically, do we think that this game could work on Switch 2, and what all would they change or update for it? For starters, I would like to think that any remake or remaster, first of all, is going to graphically look better than the original. What immediately comes to my mind is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX and what they did for that. And I would love to see Pokemon Ranger get the same treatment. Other than that, I think adding new side quests and new events for people to partake in with the game would be extra fun as well for everybody. Also, connectivity to Pokemon Home would be nice. I mean, the original games did have events where we could get the Manaphy Egg and Deoxys and transfer them to the game, so what a fun and unique way to get these games and connect them to a modern day mainline game. And also a great way to obtain otherwise hard to get Pokemon. But the biggest concern on everybody's mind, and easily one of the most important things we have to talk about, is how exactly the whole styler capture mechanic, or as some reviews of this game would say, mindless looping of drawing circles, would work. Would the mouse control be enough to do this? Would it work? Would they give us a whole Pokemon game centered around the mouse control? I don't know. As the Switch 2 has just come out, I haven't really gotten the chance to play any games that utilize the mouse feature for the Joy-Cons, so I really wouldn't know at this current point in time if this is something I think would work. It's hard to judge right now if I think this would be a really solid functioning choice. The only judgment that I would have to add is what I personally think based on what I do know about the Switch 2's functionality, and also I know there are some ROMs out there where you can play Pokemon Ranger on your computer where it does use a mouse feature. I have seen it played before and it seems to work pretty well, so those are really my only points of reference, and just judging based off of that, I do think that this absolutely could work. It's just whether or not they want to do it. What I can say is I do think it is entirely possible, and I think with these controls it would be a fantastic way to feature these new controls for a franchise a lot of people would partake in, and it would be a really cool way to utilize it and showcase it in a ways that a lot of people would see it. Could they also use motion control? I mean, yeah, they could, but should they use motion control? Yeah, no, they shouldn't. I just really would love to see the Pokemon Ranger series make its triumphant return for many Pokemon fans, especially with an updated console like the Switch 2. The Pokemon Ranger series has always been one of the most fun, the most bright and colorful, and great dialogue, great characters, great character design, fun storylines, great mechanics, and I don't know, I just really enjoy it. When it comes to Pokemon spin-offs, I think Pokemon Ranger is always at least going to be in that top 3 for most people, unless you're just not a fan of drawing circles. I guess if you don't like drawing circles, if you're more of a drawing squares person, then you're not gonna love this game. But I think for most people that it is pretty much in their top 3 for Pokemon spin-offs, and I would love to see it make a return. I think these games deserve it, and I would just love to see it. But did I make a whole video today just ranting and raving about how I think that the Switch 2 would be a great console to have Pokemon Ranger make a return on, just for the sole fact that we have mouse controls now? Yes. Yes, I did. And if you feel the same way about it, let me know down in the comment section below, because I know that I am not the only one. I know there are other people out there that love this game just as much as I do, and if you want to talk about it, girl, we're here. I see you eye to eye. We are in this together, girl, okay? You're not alone. You've been looking in the mirror telling yourself that you're the only person that loves and cares for the Pokemon Ranger series, and it seems like no one else cares. Well, girl, you're not alone. I'm right here. I'm right here for you. Girl, come on over. We can replay the game series, get a good old pint of ice cream, a bottle of wine, and we can have a good old time. But that will be all for today's video. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed making this video and just ranting about Pokemon Ranger, as I love just ranting about things that I love in general. To me, the Pokemon Ranger series is a staple of Pokemon spin-off games, and I just really want to see it come back, and that's the whole reason I wanted to make this video today. And of course, as always too, thank y'all so much for helping me just indulge in my childhood whimsy and fantasy that I just love screaming about in front of a camera. It means so much that y'all listen. The Pokemon Ranger series brings back so many like happy and positive memories from my childhood. Just being like a little 12-year-old on my DS, just doing the little loops and doing the circles and getting really upset when I couldn't do it, and some of the bosses were really hard. So I will always treasure this game and my first time playing it, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. But once again, thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go ahead and start practicing now on drawing circles, just so I can get that perfect loop. Because clearly I think some of our circles need work. Because a perfect circle does indeed take practice. So I'm gonna go ahead and start practice now.